This is a message to all my supporters of this podcast. I'm introducing a new supporters program. You can contribute a small amount as a one-off payment to show your love for this podcast. Thank you in advance for all your contributions.
This is the Absolute Business Mindset podcast, created and hosted by Mark Hayward. I am a corporate employee with an entrepreneurial mindset. This podcast will help and support you with new ideas about business. These are my thoughts, ideas, and comments. Today we're going to talk about project management and my way of approaching it, so I hope you enjoy it. Hi everyone, before we go into the podcast, I just want to give a quick plug to my hosting platform for my podcast, which is called Libsyn, Libsyn. I can highly recommend Libsyn because they are a wonderful podcasting platform. It has excellent tiers in its pricing structure, and you can have the limited capacity that can be for casual podcasters or the larger capacity for more professional podcasters. It gives great variety, and I would advise to use it. The stats are great on the website as well. They really give you in-depth details about the location of your listers, the number of downloads, and which platforms like Spotify or iTunes you actually are getting people to sign up for. I've used Libsyn ever since I started doing podcasts, and I am a very, very proud supporter, and I think this gives you great advantage if you are to do a podcast to use it. So I would recommend using this podcast platform whenever you start up your next podcast. If you would like to get an advantage, you can get a month and a bit worth of free Libsyn support. All you need to do is add the passcode, the promotional passcode, to MJH. All right, guys, hope you enjoy it, and I hope to hear your podcast soon. Hi everyone, welcome to the Absolute Business Mindset podcast and YouTube video as well. I'm going to talk today about 15 ways to run a project. So this is, as I said in the intro, this is my way of being able to run a project. It might not truly prescribe to any particular type of training, but this is the best way I think it is to be able to run a project. Okay, so number one. You always need to consider the stakeholders at the project. So whether this is whether they are people that are invested in the project, whether they are external people, internal people, you just need to keep an eye on those stakeholders. They are going to impact your business, impact your project. You do need to keep them in the forefront of your mind always, because you might need to give them updates, you might need to give them sort of regular sort of prompts or whenever you reach milestones. So I would say definitely keep your stakeholders close, because you might need them for extra budget or whatever. So definitely stakeholders. Number two, get your team together. So you've got to form the right team. They've got to be able to have a balance between the good things that you do, but equally they probably need to play on factors that you don't do. So that might be other support people, there might be specialists. So by all means, bring your team together. Be careful, but think about who you've got available and who's going to make your project run smoothly. If you're an ideas man, you might need detail people. If you're a detail person, you might need a vision person to be able to help you bring that all together. Equally, you need people to be able to do. So you need to have doers as well as thinkers and ideas people. Right, number three, you've got to define your budget. So you've got to be able to work out what your budget is going to be, whether that is being able to deliver a certain number of people who cost, or whether it's software development, whether it's building, whether it's you need to bring in new software or bring in hardware, whatever it is. You need to be able to get a budget, agree a budget with your stakeholders, and then be able to keep to your budget. Is really, really important. So check that out and make sure you've got that. Agree timeframes. Number four, you need to be able to work with people to be able to agree your timeframes that you're going to work on. You need to be able to have milestones, key markers. You've got to have your key markers in your timeframes. So you've got to be able to, you're going to deliver that but in a month's time, and that in 3 months' time, and that delivery of the end of the project in 6 months' time. These all have to be factored in, and they all loop around. You need to keep your stakeholders, you need to keep your team together, you need to get a budget. Right, timeframes, very important. Number 5, one thing that probably won't come up in a lot of books, but you've got to work out and build a contingency of your budget, your time frames, your whatever you're working on. You got to be able to have that contingency. I would always add a little bit more on everything. Everything takes longer than you expect it. Everything costs more than you expect it. So it's really, really important that you build in a contingency part of your budget that you bring together. Now, this is one of the things you probably won't also hear is you need to have good judgment to be able to run a project. There is key skill, which some people have and some people are not so good at. And I would say you need to be able to judge when people are going to deliver things, when you think you need to be able to deliver things by, how much it's going to cost to do each of them. So it's really important that you have a good judgment of your people, of your resources, of your time frames. So that's something you probably can't be taught so well, but experience builds that up. So you just need to get a couple under your belt, projects under your belt, and you tend to work out your good judgment. So very important that you need to do that. Number 7, you need to be able to use Microsoft Project or another type of software. You need to be able to use it. You need to be able to do a Gantt chart. You need to be able to build in different levels on your Microsoft Project. It is a key skill. Some people think it's not as important, but it keeps everyone on track if you have a Gantt chart, if you have a Microsoft project to be able to do it. Number 8, I think you need regular meetings to track progress. So you need regular meetings, whether it's an agile methodology where you have daily meetings. It might not. You might equally think that all you really need is maybe two meetings a week. It can work. But you do need to have regular meetings to be able to track progress. You need to be able to work out what the levels are. People working on timeframes which are agreeable? Are they slow? Are they fast? Do you need more people? So regular meetings are really, really important. Don't scrimp on these, because these could be tracking progress through regular meetings could be the reason why you win or fail that project. Number 9. Good comms to all. So whether you're talking to your stakeholders, whether you're talking to your colleagues, whether you're talking to external people, whether you've outsourced something to a third party, you need to have good comms to all of them. It might be project plans in Microsoft Office, Microsoft Project. It might be agendas. It might be progress updates. You just need to be able to get good comms to everyone. Number 10, this also probably won't be on anywhere else, but give yourself a break. Just give yourself a break. Others are going to affect your project. You can't control everything in your project. This is why you have a contingency of time, money, and effort into your project, because some things you can't control, and you can get hugely frustrated and hugely upset by not being able to deliver things, but they might be out of your control. So give yourself a break. Okay, number 11 is about making people accountable. Now, this is also very important. You need to keep your doers, the people who are doing the work, you need to keep them accountable, because you are ultimately accountable to the project. So you do need to make sure that other people are being tracked. As we said about tracking progress, they need to make sure that they are being tracked and they are being able to deliver on the timeframes that you've agreed. So if you've got the right people, if it's software, if you've got the right developers, whether it's hardware and you've got people building things, you need to be able to make sure that the people that are doing are accountable to you. Number 12, be part of a team. It is important that you are a key component of that project, but you are still part of that team and you can help on certain things. If you have the availability and you're not running 2 or 3 different projects at once, it might be useful to get involved in the project. Not necessarily getting detailed project, but it won't hurt you to understand what the people that are building this are actually needing to do. You got to be able to, once the project is over, you have to be honest with yourself. You need to be able to be honest with how you did, whether you did good, bad, or the ugly. You need to be able to make sure that you work out what you did well and the parts that didn't go well and why that was. Number 14, do bigger projects. Scale your projects. If you start running a number of projects and you're doing them well, then the next project should be bigger, and the next project should be bigger after that. So don't constrain yourself. If you've delivered a good project, whether it's a different company, whether it's a different type of the business, different area, a new project comes up, always try and think to do bigger and better projects. Now, the last point, number 15, is build reliance, strength, and bigger and better. So you need to be able to be strong, reliable, rely on yourself, and be able to scale your projects. So this is really, really important. And I think it's great impact if you are able to build a robustness, build strength in what you're doing, and build confidence as well, because I think it's critically important that you're able to deliver on that project. Right, everyone, thank you very much for listening. This was the 15 ways to run a project. Hopefully you found that useful, and please, you can find me on Twitter, on Instagram, on Patreon, on YouTube. You got me on Facebook. You got me on the podcast platforms as well. There's plenty of places to be able to find me. I'll put on the show notes where you can find my details from. Really looking forward to building something bigger and better when it comes to these podcasts. I'd love your feedback. It would be great if you could give me feedback. Equally, if you like what you hear and you'd like to get special content, then log on to Patreon and get my details on there, and then you'll get behind the scenes footage as well of what it actually looks like outside of this view that you've got at the moment. So thanks a lot, everyone, and I'll speak to you soon. Cheers.
To make sure millions of people are getting paid on time and in compliance, ADP is staying on top of each new piece of legislation. So when it comes down to it, ADP isn't just a payroll and HR company. We're the company that helps you navigate complexity. Learn more at adp.com.